Aries FC heavyweight champion Slim Trabelsi's UFC career has ended before it could even begin. The 29 was expected to make his debut on the 22nd of October at UFC 280, but after running into some issues with his contract, it looks like he'll have to wait before he can finally make his way to the prestigious Octagon. Stay tuned as we tell you everything that happened between Slim, Fernand Lopez, and Ali Abdelaziz. First up, a deal with the devil. Little did Slim know he made a deal with the devil when he signed a 4-fight contract with French promotion Aries FC. His manager and promoter Fernand Lopez is the same guy who had a really ugly public fallout with UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou. So when his name first popped up, we sort of had an idea on what to expect. Lopez guaranteed Slim that he was free to go fight at the UFC whenever they called him. But when they did call him, he used the contract to block and ultimately revoke his signing to the biggest promotion in the world. Just imagine for a second how much that must have hurt. It's a dream for fighters to join the UFC and showcase their skills on such a big platform. But to have all your dreams cut short because of a greedy manager is just heartbreaking. Just 24 hours after signing a deal with the UFC, Trabelsi had to be released because Fernand wouldn't shut up about how his Aries contract forbids him from joining any other promotion. If anything, he's lucky Slim didn't knock him out for pretty much lying to his face while getting him to sign the original contract. But talk about a way to ruin a relationship, right? We're positive the 29-year-old will want to do nothing with Aries FC as soon as he's done with his contract. Next, he earned it. Slim might be undefeated in his professional MMA career, but that's not exactly what got him a shot to fight at the UFC. Believe it or not, the heavyweight actually had a deal with Ali Abdelaziz that if he was able to win the title over at Aries, Ali would sign him to the UFC. But it's not like Ali turned away from what he promised either. Both men did exactly what they said they would. Slim won the heavyweight title, and Ali signed him. So the only problem here is Fernand Lopez. He even called Ali asking him to pay 90,000 euros if he wants to sign Trabelsi without worrying about his Aries contract. Even for a guy like Abdelaziz, 90,000 euros is a lot of money. Now, Ali didn't exactly leave Slim hanging. He actually offered Fernand a percentage of what the heavyweight would have made at the UFC 280, but he refused, and asked for a one-time payment of the original amount. Abdelaziz even went ahead and offered him a percentage of all of his UFC fights, but even that wasn't enough to convince the money-grabbing manager. Honestly, what Lopez did is just disgusting. He not only played a fighter, but he also tried to rob Ali after he signed Slim to the biggest promotion in the world. Don't worry, Fernand, the fight world will never forget what you did. Moving on, a liar from day one. Slim Trabelsi got played, there's no doubt about it. But it's not like the signs weren't there all along or something. He's been a liar from day one. He promised fighters all sorts of things and even talked about how he has enough money to sign anyone he wants to build an exclusive roster. But he didn't want to do that for the game or for fighters. All he cares about is making a quick buck. During an interview in 2009, Lopez even said Aries FC will become bigger than ONE and Bellator in just a couple of months. Judging from how things are right now, he probably regrets saying that. There's just always been some negative energy around him. It's never been about the fighters with him. He's always talked about making things bigger than that and this and having enough money. It's never actually been about the fighters or the sport. Following up with a UFC clause, in the same interview, Fernand Lopez talked about how Aries has even chalked up a deal with the UFC. Again, he's just trying to sell fighters off to the UFC to make money from each and every one of them. Like, we get the fact that he's a manager just doing his job, but he seriously messed up with what he did to Slim. Can you even imagine how exciting it would have been to have a talent like him in the division? But anyway, it seems like only Lopez knows about the deal with the UFC since it never really happened. Aries fighters would have a UFC clause in their contract allowing them to switch to the UFC whenever they wanted. But that's obviously just a lie to get some of the best talent to sign with them in the hopes to eventually start their UFC career. Even Slim said it. He literally said, "You can't fight in France without being managed by Fernand Lopez." So all this is nothing but a huge monopoly exploiting fighters and crushing dreams for a boatload of paper. Time for some more on the UFC. Up next, the randomest of rivalries. Paulo Costa and Khamzat Chimaev literally had nothing to do with each other prior to UFC 278. But Costa and Chimaev were present at the Apex Center just days before UFC 278, and they got into a small scuffle. It wasn't anything serious apart from a few insults coming from both sides. But ever since then, Costa has been going at Khamzat every chance he gets, whether it's on Twitter, Instagram, or Ariel Helwani's podcast. He's refusing to stop and continues calling him out, claiming he's stolen everything from him following their run-in. Chimaev, on the other hand, hasn't really responded to Costa, and that's probably because he has nothing to do with him. If you ask us, we think Costa is trying to capitalize on how it's become so difficult for Khamzat to just make weight. Don't follow? Well, if Khamzat decided to step up to middleweight, he doesn't really have a rivalry with anyone, does he? But if Paulo is able to build a rivalry, he'll not only be getting a shot at Chimaev, but also all the hype he brings with him. More eyes means more money. Smart from Costa, but we'll have to see whether Khamzat really wants to occupy himself with a new feud at the middleweight division. Now for the place to be. Michael Chandler has put forward a really interesting theory following Nate Diaz's exit from the UFC. Chandler thinks Nate's exit pretty much proves that the UFC is the place to be in the combat world. We kinda already knew that, but sure, let's talk about what he was trying to say. The 5th-ranked lightweight thinks the way Diaz said he wants to go out and take over another promotion before finally returning to the promotion shows that the UFC is the big show. It kinda makes sense, but it doesn't necessarily mean the UFC will offer him a contract again, you know? Sure, he's a household name and all, but fighting Conor is the only match that would ever make sense, to be honest. Because apart from that, there's really no one else left in the league that could generate enough hype to get the UFC to resign him. We get where Chandler's coming from and agree that the UFC is the place to be, but we also think Nate's exit says a lot of other things as well. Things would have been much different if he had fought Khamzat Chimaev on his way out. Last but not least, he wants to make some friends. Speaking of Khamzat, there's no doubt that he's truly the UFC's #1 villain right now. He already had a lot of enemies, but he seems to have added some more in the shape of fans after missing weight at UFC 278. But it feels like the Wolf is tired of making enemies and really wants another good friend like his smash buddy Darren Till. When asked how he feels about fighting middleweight Robert Whittaker, Chimaev replied by saying the Aussie has never said anything bad about him and that's why he has no interest in fighting him. If anything, Khamzat would love to train with him, but as far as fighting goes, he has no beef with the former champion. Well, that might be inevitable since he'll probably have to face him if he's forced to move up a weight class. Then it's the same old guys that have been around for ages. And who better to start off than Paulo Costa himself? We're already sure the Wolf can run through the welterweight division, but we haven't given a lot of thought to the middleweight division. Let's see what happens. That's it from our side, folks. So what do you think? Should Ali Abdelaziz step up and pay the cash to sign Slim? Or is it better for the heavyweight to fight out his contract and make a legitimate entry into the UFC? Let us know in the comments below. Remember, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more entertaining and original content in the future. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.